Welcome back. Oxygen 101, concentrators. A concentrator, as you know, makes oxygen. It does not store oxygen, so it doesn't run out. But sometimes they do break. When you turn it on, if we plug it in, then you will have an alarm right at the beginning. All right, now we're plugged in. It has different colored lights normally, some don't, but most of them have a service light. So if the red service light comes on, you need to call. But we're going to do some troubleshooting because a lot of times people are so used to taking their nasal cannula and holding it by their tongue to see if they can feel the air that they say, I can't feel it, I can't feel it. So we're going to do some troubleshooting. The first thing that we will ask you when you call is, do you have bubbles? Now we have some bubbles, but we really don't have any air. Because what's happened is my bottle's not screwed together all the way. So then once I put the top and the bottom on correctly, we have air. Sometimes the top and the bottom isn't together right. Sometimes it's not screwed on all the way or straight where the connector goes onto the water bottle. Sometimes this isn't pushed on all the way. Different things can happen. So if you're not feeling the air and you happen to call us, what we're going to say is the machine came on because you had the alarm, you have a green light, but you had no air coming out. So what we're going to have you do is take your tubing and unhook where the tubing for your water bottle and hook your oxygen cannula right to the front. And we're going to see if you feel air. And we now have air. So we know that the problem is here. This is adding humidification, just some moisture. It is okay to go ahead and use it this way. A lot of people do. There's nothing wrong with this. And then you can call us and say, I have a problem. Most of the time you have an extra water bottle that you can put together. And then everything works just fine. If you call us and you say that you're not feeling any air and the ball is all the way down at the bottom, we're going to tell you, unhook the tubing from the front of the machine. Did your ball jump up? And if it did, then we know that you have an occlusion in your tubing. Possibly the chair's on it. If you reclined back, it got pinched when you put your chair back. Someone's standing on it. If it's got caught in the side rail, then that would create an occlusion and your ball would drop. So again, take the tubing off the front of the machine. Does your ball come up? Then we know it's the tubing. Sometimes we get calls and people will say, I have a machine but that doesn't have a ball in it, because they can't see the ball. This has been turned so far that they can't see it. So one of the things we will tell you is take your tubing off the front of the machine, put your finger over that connector. Do you see the ball? And you can see the ball jumping up and down. And then we tell you, just turn the knob back to your setting. Things happen. Sometimes things get turned that shouldn't get turned, but they do. So again, check the water bottle. If the water bottle isn't working correctly, just go ahead and hook to the front of the machine and you're good to go. One of the things you need to remember is you need to have airflow around the concentrator. So around the back, there should be at least 18 inches between the wall and the back of the machine, because it sucks air in and sends it back out. So if it is up against the wall, you have blankets thrown over it, the curtains, it's not going to be able to suck any air in. It's going to get very hot, and you're going to get usually a service alarm. So that's something that you need to watch, is where is it positioned? Does it have adequate airflow? Some of them have filters on the side. This one doesn't. If you have a 10-liter machine, the brown machines, it has a filter that needs to be cleaned out when it gets dusty. Sometimes they're noisy. If they're noisy, sometimes if it's been moved from place to place, the filter in the back gets wiggled loose and the machine's a little loud. So it's simply a matter of putting the filter back on, putting the cover back on, and you're all set to go. Again, it's perfectly fine to use your nasal cannula right on the machine. How this works is it's got tubes inside called sieve beds. It sucks in the room air, sends the air through those sieve beds, and it breaks all the elements of the air apart. The oxygen comes out to you, the argon, helium, nitrogen, everything else goes back out into the room. So this makes oxygen. It doesn't hold oxygen. So it doesn't run out. Another thing, when you have an alarm, and sometimes we get those in the middle of the night, someone will call, it sounds exactly like your smoke detector when your battery is low and the alarm goes off and your little red lights on your smoke detector saying it's time to change the battery. So that's just something to be aware of in the back of your mind. Again, if it doesn't work and you've plugged it in to a different outlet, you know it's not on a light switch, a wall switch that turns that power to that outlet on and off, and it's not working, call your supplier. Thank you.